Comprehension is a power interconnecting the endless matter systems in the matter universe. However, by making this definition, it should be remembered that, as for everything in universe, the cause of this power is also outside the matter universe. So, by this power, relations between matter can be established. And out of these relations the beings which are the symbols, that is, the representatives of spirits, are manifested. Likewise, by this power, through the critical comparison of relations between plans, developments and evolutions are ensured. Here, there are great truths expressed about comprehension. In order to penetrate these truths, it is necessary to ponder upon these words. We have explained how the initial components preparing the comprehension occurred during the constitution of the beings. Here, spirits were constituting these beings by gathering the energies transmitted in a disarrayed state by the developed hydrogen. The constitution of beings through these high energies, which are but high vibration complexes, triggers instincts which are the most primitive state of comprehension to manifest in these disarrayed energies. Here, secondary assistance is given as well to spirits constituting these beings. For, as previously mentioned, from the moment the being is constituted, the influences coming from above and around it, which we call secondary, takes the place of the original influences. Let us elaborate on this topic. We have said that comprehension is a power gathering matter systems together. This means that in the initial constitution of the being, hydrogen atom energies have reached such a stage of development that spirits, with the help of secondary influences as well, have attained the possibilities to use their instincts, which are the simplest state of their powers that mankind can only express and symbolize by the word comprehension, by utilizing the states of matter at this stage. Here a sufficient degree of knowledge is given about how comprehension begins. Ferment of the being is comprehension. And the initial being that constituted connects, from its initial moment on, the other simpler matter combinations and systems together, in accordance with the gradual development of this ferment existing in it, that is, of comprehension, and brings about new and newer combinations and systems. We have said enough about the birth and significance of comprehension and will proceed to its role in the conscience mechanism. First of all, we would like to state that the role of comprehension in the conscience mechanism is intrinsic to the disposition of this mechanism. 4. Actually, establishment and connections of relations between the opposites of the conscience mechanism occur through the comprehension mechanism, and it is even an act belonging to the function of comprehension. Naturally, this act occurs rather through the interventions of assisting influences at the moment of being's initial constitution, and gradually, as comprehension develops, these interventions lessen and governance of the being emerges and, at the further states of development of comprehension, it completely prevails over conscience. Proper appreciation of the interrelations between the conscience realities. Establishment of supporting systems for them with sublime components, by discerning the duty components with elevating quality towards the higher, from the earthly craving components, and by this, elevation of the equilibrium of conscience mechanism increasingly towards higher levels. These are the acts belonging to the function of comprehension. Therefore, the more perfect comprehension becomes, the more efficient this function works and consequently, the easier and faster the convergence of the conscience level becomes towards the knowledge of duty. For example, a man who has such a wide and encompassing comprehension knows better if he should direct his efforts to the duty component or the earthly craving component. And when he complies with the duty component which is positive, he starts to appreciate what kind of sublime matter combinations and systems he can build onwards. And this means his increasing convergence, with his comprehension, towards the plan of duty. On the other hand, as he chooses the earthly craving component, which is the opposite of duty, and as he goes downward, He sees and understands what kind of dissolutions and breakdowns will occur in the high-ordered relations within the constitutions of conscience, and what kinds of values can be lost from the richness of developmental combinations of matter. 4. Appreciation of these is among the acts included in the comprehension scope of power, as the builder among the matter combinations and systems. Therefore, comprehension is such a great power that it is both its own guide and also its own prime mover at all preliminary levels, on the path of preparing for the knowledge of duty throughout all the lives it will go through, within the dictates of conscience duality. And this expresses that among other components of matter universe, it is the closest vehicle to spirit. Now, we come to the essence knowledge feeding the mechanisms of comprehension and conscience, which takes such a significant role in the preparations belonging to the plan of duty in the world. First of all, let us say that essence knowledge, as it feeds comprehension and conscience, is also enriched by comprehension and conscience. Essence knowledge increases its value by comprehension itself and also with the help of external interventions. As to the topic of these external interventions strengthening essence knowledge, knowledge has been given previously on this, to which we now return. Interventions helping the increase of essence knowledge, in relation to conscience, reach their targets by utilizing innumerable states and situations of myriad matter combinations, that is, a great number of events. Events, as filtered through crude knowledge of comparison, exit from consciousness to unconsciousness and stay there. These are under the command of essence knowledge. And they exist there, in the unconscious, throughout the lifetime of mankind. These have not yet passed to the subconscious. Events cannot directly pass into the state of essence knowledge. 4. There are yet inconsistencies among them. These events that occurred in the consciousness, after their initial comparative accounting is done with the relatively crude material impressions in the unconscious, are pushed to the unconscious. Although these are under the command of the essence being, they have not yet been its own possessions, have not yet turned into essence knowledge. For this knowledge in the unconscious to pass into the state of essence knowledge, they need to adapt to essence knowledge, and to reach the ability to be included within the essence knowledge synthesis. However, the comparative accounting of these in the unconscious has been done not with subconscious knowledge, but with unconscious knowledge, and this is not essence knowledge. Because all connections of the being to outside will be severed, when it passes to the spatium following death, this knowledge will be compared with subconscious knowledge and accounted by the being, and after that, will pass to the subconscious and be appropriated by the being. 4. This act will harmonize the knowledge in the subconscious with the knowledge in the unconscious, and will mix these within the synthesis of subconscious knowledge. So, the knowledge that stays unconscious throughout the whole of a life, enters the subconscious only after going through the great accountancy following the death event, and after it has been represented by the being, it can then enter the subconscious. As to the topic of how knowledge is collected in the unconscious, this is accumulated by subjecting world realities, which are comprehended or not by the consciousness to the knowledge of the comparison mechanism in relation to conscience, which is broadly done during sleep, and is then pushed to the unconscious. In short, comprehended or not, events the consciousness has encountered are concluded by the knowledge of comparison in the unconscious, and these conclusions stay in the unconscious. There, these have not yet become the essence knowledge of the being, and therefore they do not belong to the subconscious. Nevertheless, this knowledge is under the command of the being, and whenever necessary, it can be taken out to the field of consciousness. And only after the great accounting that is done following death, does it mix with the mass of essence knowledge in the subconscious. Sources and means feeding essence knowledge vary greatly. We will state some of the most important of these. Communal situations like knowledge, religion, nation, family and the state strengthening these situations. And finally communiqués, inspirations, knowledge given to mankind and mediums directly, by beings in duty at various levels, and events arising from all of these are among the powerful materials strengthening essence knowledge, and converging the being with the plan of duty. These are lived through within the world realities and, as we said, after some acts, they mix with the essence knowledge repertoire of the being. Now, let us elaborate on essence knowledge. Essence knowledge comprises deep impressions, which cannot be comprehended by mankind, that are attained by comparison, by discernment of the assets belonging to the past lives, starting from the most primitive cycle with previous assets, and which are appropriated by the being, not by man. As, on the one hand, they ensure the evolution of the spirit to which they serve with the forms of comprehension. On the other hand, they widen the being's field of development by preparing ground for new knowledge. These assets are gained by situations within the world comprehension technique. It is possible to collect these situations within the concept of an event. Man lives in the midst of the events surrounding him, he becomes the hero of those events. In some cases he does not live it himself, but follows and observes the situations of other people and beings living in them with a keen interest. So, because of the necessities of their lives in the world, the relations belonging to the event combinations either mankind directly live in or indirectly see in others, are the whole sum of the knowledge which are expressed by world comprehension. And these concepts are separate from essence knowledge and the materials becoming vehicles for the constitution of essence knowledge. However, the conclusions and impressions of these, after they go through various mechanisms in the spatium life following death, are transferred to the essence being, and are appropriated by the being as essence knowledge. And consciousness, as previously explained, continues to collect new knowledge materials from the world, by directly encountering the crude realities of the world, more correctly, these events. After stating the differences in this way between essence knowledge and events which are evaluated as knowledge in the world, we will continue our explanation by using the meaning of the word knowledge, without mistaking these.